Thank you for watching this review of the CRKT Bita by Jesper Voxnaes of Denmark and the CRKT Civet by Flavio Ikoma of Brazil. Both of these CRKT knives are fixed blade neck knives. The CRKT Civet is 5.6 inches overall and features a 2.4 inch Bowie style blade. The handles are made of glass reinforced nylon, and the steel is 8CR13 MOV, which is 3 millimeters thick. The blade features a high hollow grind with a sharpener's choil, jimping on the top of the blade and just at the front of the handle area, and it does feature a lanyard hole at the back of the handle. The CRKT Civet weighs 2.9 ounces with the sheath, which is designed to be taken apart and cleaned if necessary. The sheath retains the blade perfectly well, with perhaps some rattle, but no chance of falling out. The take-apart sheath, in my opinion, is perhaps more gimmick than it is practical. Although it is an interesting idea, I can't think of a single instance in which I've felt the need to clean or take apart my sheath for cleaning. While it's a thoughtful consideration, it also makes it so that upon deployment of the knife, the sheath has the potential to become dislodged. Although that's probably not how most would deploy this knife. Most would have the sheath secured or at least around their neck, and when pulling would probably use their thumb to depress and remove the knife. And of course you'll see I've had mine engraved so that if anyone decides to appropriate my CRKT Civet, they'll know that it's mine. If you do not maintain even pressure on this panel, which is able to slide out, there is a chance of that panel coming with the knife, as evidenced by my simple attempt at deploying it with one hand. So there is that design flaw to be considered. Of course, if you're not using this knife for self-defense, if you're not worried about how quickly you have to put the knife back in the sheath safely, then it may not bother you that you would have to slide the sheath back into place and then stow the knife safely. It would have occurred to me, or at least seemed apparent after the fact, that that was a potential for failure. And perhaps failure is the wrong word to use, but I would prefer the sheath to be a single piece of something sturdy that retains the blade. Obviously, that's important, and this definitely does. However, without some type of cordage through here to maintain this lock, which you would have to remove in order to clean the sheath, without something there to keep it from coming undone, there is a solid chance that the knife will cause this removable panel to become dislodged. Knife reviews are so subjective. My reasons to love or hate something is another person's reason to hate or love that very same something. So my opinion doesn't mean this knife is bad or that this sheath is bad. However, it's worth considering that even though you're getting a nice little knife with, some obvious flaws, like the handles are glued on and you see some glue on the blade stock there from the handles, which aren't quite milled to the exact specifications of the steel, which make for a rather uncomfortable and dissatisfying grip, in my opinion, hence my choice of engraving. That's not what I think of the knife. That's just what I was willing to put on it, given the circumstances. It's not a super duper expensive knife, although I could tell you I wouldn't pay $49.99 for it, which I believe is the original asking price. I found this one on the internet for $20, and I spent another $7 to have poo poo pee pee engraved on it. So Obviously, I got this knife as more of a novelty item than anything else, but it will serve its purpose and ultimately be very useful. In my opinion, the CRKT Civet, not the finest attempt, but a decent overall product if you can get it on sale and you don't mind some of the flaws that I've mentioned. The CRKT Bita, on the other hand, Bita, by Jesper Voxnaes of Denmark, is 4.8 inches overall. I've added a little bit of length with my lanyard and my use of the paracord that came with the sheath. I've just wrapped it around to use up the length. This knife is 4.8 inches overall and features a 1.9 inch drop point blade. It is also offered in 8CR13 MOV steel. The blade thickness is right around 1/8 of an inch or just under 4 millimeters. A nice big finger choil right behind the blade, jimping at the front and the back of the handle, which of course is skeletonized. You can see some of the raw steel coming through in the holes there. A nice big lanyard hole at the very back, which I've made use of. This knife weighs 2.0 ounces overall with the sheath, which does retain the blade, no rattle, no chance of it coming out. The knife is $40 from CRKT, a solid $10 cheaper than the Civet. I managed to find this one online for about $17, and I would say that is probably the best $17 I've spent on a knife in a long time. The rounded steel, it's comfortable in the hand. It's big enough that I can get my first, middle, and third finger on there. And I've got this lanyard attached for a little bit of extra grip with my pinky there. But even though it's a very small knife, the handle makes it well balanced, and the drop point blade is utilitarian and capable. The sheath is thermomolded plastic. These little nubs retain the blade. Those nubs may wear down. However, the sheath that they give you, while it's cheap, it gets the job done. Those little nubs, depending on how long they last, at least they retain the blade without any noise and without any chance of it coming out. Overall, each of these is plenty useful. There are some good things about the Civet, which I really like, the jimping on the blade, my choice of engraving, obviously. But some of the things that should be considered instead of overlooked in a $50 knife, or at least a knife that they're asking $50, they simply miss those. And it's no offense to CRKT or Flavio Ikoma or anybody. It just wasn't a satisfying purchase for me, so I made it a little bit more my own, and I'm sure it will get some use. However, the CRKT Bita, if we're doing a comparison, it's got a smaller blade, a smaller overall length. It's just about an ounce lighter weight than the CRKT Civet, and of course it's much cheaper. Thank you for watching this opinion-based review of the CRKT Civet and the CRKT Bita. Enjoy your knives.